Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and do me a favor. If you are new to the channel and you would like to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and hit that bell notification right below the video. I'm going to get right into it. This question right here comes from a young man from Birmingham, Alabama. And the question is DELRAY, if Tupac was still assigned to Interscope Records, why did Afeni Shakur sue Death Row instead of Interscope Records when Tupac died? This is an excellent question. I've been asked this question a lot of times, and so I'm gonna give you the facts, because like I say, a lot of people have given you misinformation and outright lies as a means to confuse you into believing that they know something that they don't, or better yet, misleading you from finding out the actual truth. And the truth of the matter is, when Tupac passed away, Afeni Shakur was not really aware of Tupac's record contract, the intricacies of his record contract, and all of the things that involved his business. And Tupac, I believe he liked it that way. You understand what I'm saying? Because like I said, his business was his business, and he handled it accordingly. And so when I say that to say Afeni Shakur didn't know about the bail agreement and all of its information and all of the information that it entailed. She didn't know about the power of attorney that Interscope Records as well as Atlantic Records had against her son. What she was aware of, I mean, through public information and, you know, records and things like that, and who was basically helped taking care of her when they were staying out here in LA at that particular time, was that Suge, you know, was the guy who was basically fronting what it was that was money that was coming from Interscope based on the bail agreement, you know, as we know now. So all of the money that was paying for the apartments, the cars, the house, the everything, all that stuff came from Interscope, but it was being moved through Suge Knight. That's how they felt like they wanted to do it at the time. So when Tupac died, you know, rightfully so, she's going to be looking at Suge Knight. And so they were supposed to meet up. And her attorney, Suge, her and Suge's attorney. But for some reason, and this is public information, Suge never showed up to the meeting, right? And see, we would find out later, some years later, the reason why. But check this out. So her first initial thing was to, you know, hold on, let me put a hold on this, everything, you know, cease and desist on any music coming out, and which was the Machiavelli album. Boom. Here steps in Interscope. They step in, work out the situation. Then the truth finally starts to come out, right? That no, Suge Knight didn't bail Tupac out. We did. We also have this bail agreement. We also have this power of attorney. We also have all of this paperwork in regarding to protecting them legally and making sure that they could recoup their money. They didn't want that information to be known based on the fact that Warner Brothers couldn't come out and be like, yeah, we bailed out Tupac, and he was facing the accusations of dealing with the situation in New York. It would have been a publicity nightmare, as it was when they were out there stomping on Death Row artists, records and things like that, when C. Dolores Tucker complained about the situation, right? So Jimmy Iovine steps in. They reach a settlement. Afeni Shakur also gets Tupac's royalty rate bumped from a 12% royalty rate to the 18% that was in that agreement, or that deal point memo that he had signed while he was in prison. And I think that was only fair, as well as they gave her $5 million. They also made a deal in settling in an agreement with dealing with Death Row, but more importantly, dealing with Tupac's estate and the music. I'm going to read this. Check this out. Nearly 12 years after Death Row and Tupac Shakur's controversial recording career shows no signs of coming to a halt. After his mother announced she's to seek an injunction to stop yet another album of Tupac material from being released. Afeni Shakur has sought an injunction in the U.S. court after reports suggested that Tupac's former record label, Death Row, was attempting to use unreleased Tupac material as a means of attracting buyers for the now bankrupt company. According to Shakur's attorneys, a lawyer, Donald David, all unreleased recordings should have been turned over to the estate as part of a 1997 agreement with the record label. But during Death Row's bankruptcy proceedings, it was revealed that an album's worth of unreleased Tupac material was being advertised to potential buyers as the jewel in the crown of Death Row's assets, David said. You get it? So in 1997, when they settled up everything, they were allowed to release, they basically, settled everything in 97, but they was allowed to release the Machiavelli album, all of that. Everything was good. She had got paid. And in this agreement in 1997, Suge was supposed to have turned over, or whoever was running the label at that particular time was supposed to have turned over all of the music, right? It didn't happen. And so in 2006, basically when they filed for bankruptcy, this information comes out that they still got more songs of Tupac's that they were supposed to have turned over. Now, in 2003, right, Death Row basically had did a deal with a Koch Entertainment, right? And so basically in 2003, they did a deal with Koch, offering them 3 posthumous albums. Koch was apparently supposed to look after the royalties, but evidently they didn't, right? Meanwhile, Death Row filed for bankruptcy in 2006, was bought and then sold and bought again that year by the aforementioned E1 Entertainment. The company, they inherited, basically the rap catalog, but they also inherited, all of the unsettled debts and deals done by Suge Knight at the time that he had ran Death Row. So most people wonder why, why didn't Interscope just go and, but Interscope didn't want that problem. They didn't want all those lawsuits. You've seen how many lawsuits have been filed after the fact, right? And we're talking about in, I believe, 2013, Afeni Shakur basically filed another lawsuit demanding $1.1 million in royalties from E1, basically, which had purchased the Death Row for reported $280 million, right? So now you understand what it was and why it was. Suge was supposed to have turned over all of the music to Afeni Shakur and Tupac's estate. He didn't, right? The 1997 agreement that they had signed, basically said that's what he was supposed to do. And so when they did the deal with Koch, for whatever reason, they came to some kind of agreement and that they were supposed to, Koch was supposed to pay the royalties. They didn't. Here comes Afeni again, basically having to sue again. So if they did the deal, I don't think she wanted to argue with them and be like, okay, no, go ahead. Okay, cool. Release the music. It's all good. Y'all do the deal. It's great. Pay the royalties like you're supposed to, right? They didn't pay the royalties. So she had to sue them. And basically, as of 2020, that situation in itself was basically settled. Afeni Shakur basically won the rights to all of Tupac's music from E1 Entertainment and so on and so forth. So that's the reason why Afeni Shakur sued Death Row instead of Interscope. Interscope basically stepped up and prevented any kind of lawsuit or legal litigation coming their way. You understand that? And so that's the reason why. So like I said, you have a lot of people out here trying to mislead you in regards to what it was, or don't want you to understand the truth in regards to why she did what she did, as if she didn't know what she was doing. She did what she thought was best at that particular time until she found out the other information in which she didn't know about, right? And so at the end of the day, basically, we see what just happened recently. Snoop now owns his music now. Tupac Estate now owns his music now. And Dr. Dre now owns The Chronic in about a year's time. So yeah, to the brother from Birmingham, Alabama, yeah, that's the reason why Afeni Shakur basically sued Death Row instead of Interscope Records. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.